What the fuck, man?
You've got mail.
Oh, what's up, people? What's up? What's up? I got some funny news, man. So I want to say this. All right. I was in court the other day, and the judge, I'm filing a motion to remove the judge, violation of his oath of office and conspiracy, violation of my constitutional rights under ADA, disability, veterans' rights, etc., under the Disability Act. So I did a motion also here to remove this public defender because he's not doing nothing. I called this guy, man, like 17 times. Return my call, you know, and everything. And he just refuses to, you know. And I believe that he also refuses to give me all of the documents that I've been requesting for, which they don't exist. In this case of so-called threats, which was never no threats. On my YouTube video, I was supposed to be in court January 3rd, 2023. I'll explain it again. And
You've got mail.
It was canceled because of the snowstorm. Every court in the state of Minnesota, every case was canceled, period. I don't have the equipment to do that Zoom stuff. So anyway, the clerk calls me and says the judge canceled because of the snowstorm. Okay, so when is what? I asked the clerk, so when is my, are they going to postpone it for another day? No. I said, look, what the hell is going on? If the court's canceled, what's going on, right? Now, mind you, I never met this judge, never seen this judge in my whole entire life. Never met this judge, never seen this judge, not once. Okay, I had this other judge removed because she did allow perjury, false testimony, and everything else. I already filed a motion to have that motion that this judge granted to be voided because they refused to give me another court date on January 3rd. They refused, which they violated my constitutional rights, which I have a right to be in court. Okay, they refused that. So make a long story short on that there, I stated on January 3rd or 4th that I was upset. I was really upset, all right? And I stated that I'm going to sue them. I'm going to come after them, what the law says that I got a right to do. So as everybody's going over my videos and stuff, and we got the stuff from this so-called public defender's office, it's not matching up. They presented a false police report, the sheriffs did. Okay, false police report. In other words, they put in there what they wanted to put in there that was not on the videos on January 3rd and January 5th. And also anywhere between January 2023. And this one makes a big difference on how they committed perjury and retaliation, racial profiling, and hate against me. Okay, because I cursed them out. I got the right to say what I want to say. The United States Superior Court on June 23rd, 2023 stated, we have a right to express ourselves. We have a right to say what we want to say. Even hate speech is protected under the First Amendment. Even hate speech is protected under the First Amendment. They even went so far to where the government has to prove a threat. In other words, that person has to have, that person has to be 1,000% capable of carrying out a threat, which I'm not, mentally and all of this stuff. Okay. And it goes on and on and on. So this right here, this ruling just threw out all of their case completely, the DA's case completely. Then the United States Superior Court ruled, anytime your constitutional rights are violated. This happened with a case called Moore versus something in it was in Texas or Louisiana, somewhere, some other state. I just come across it. And the United States Superior Court ruled in September this year that any law enforcement, judge, prosecutor, city attorney, violate your constitutional rights, you have a right under your amendment to file a lawsuit against the government, against the individuals. You have that constitutional right. They cannot be thrown away. They cannot be taken away. You have a right to file your lawsuit. No judge now can turn around and say a lawsuit is frivolous or anything else like that. You have that right. You have that constitutional right to file your lawsuit. You have that constitutional right. No matter what. No court, no judge can deny you that constitutional right. You got the constitutional right for a lawsuit to be heard by a jury, period. A judge cannot make a decision on any lawsuit. A judge cannot overturn a jury's verdict on a lawsuit. You have that constitutional right. So here, if you look up a case, this was very interesting. And it says about Constitution. And it says about attorneys and clients. All right? Attorneys and clients, 76, aid in administration of justice. 407 U.S. 25. Referred reference keys, numbers and diagnose and descriptions. All attorneys, court-appointed attorneys, all attorneys, duty, his or her duty is to the administration of justice, to the courts, not to the clients. Listen carefully. All public defenders and appointed attorneys' duty is to the administration of justice, not to their clients. Their duty, their main duty is to the courts, not to their clients. That's what it says right there. So the other day I was in court and this judge still violated my constitutional rights not to be in court. He did this video thing, which I couldn't even see his face because I'm blind in his eye. couldn't even see his face or nothing, but barely could hear him, I guess that's why I talk so loud, because I could barely hear the seer, So anyway, I told him I don't understand this. How you going to charge me with freedom of speech, freedom of expression? I didn't threaten nobody. I said my quote words was, quote unquote, I'm going to come after you with every law, the law that says I got the right to come after you with under my constitutional rights. That's not a threat. There's no way near a threat. The United States Superior Court already ruled that. I got a right to remove this attorney. California, Superior Court. A defendant has a right to represent himself under the Constitution. No questions asked, no ifs and no buts. The defendant has a right to represent himself. See, the defendant has that right to represent himself. There's no question about it. So, when I told the judge, and I got the right to freedom of speech even in the courts, I got a right to express my feelings and my expressions. So, I'm saying this to the judge, and this judge turns around and orders a psych evaluation on me, which is against the constitutional right. Okay? It was a federal judge named John Adams, where he sued the state because it's unconstitutional for any judge to order anyone to have a psych evaluation. Okay? What are you going to say? Because I'm disabled? That's discrimination. Now you are in federal court for discrimination. No ifs and no buts. You are in federal court under discrimination. So you're saying that I'm crazy because I'm disabled? Discrimination. Discrimination. See, there was no probable cause whatsoever to charge me of threats, because there was no threats. So you want to play this out? We want to go into the court? That's no problem. That's no problem whatsoever. And I'm doing my motion now because the judge also violated a federal ruling under this was so funny. The allegations of a misconduct judge has to be looked into and investigated and cannot be ignored under no circumstances. Anytime a defendant or attorney that is representing the defendant submits a complaint about a judge, that judge is automatically removed for internal investigation, administration investigation, to see if there was any misconduct or unethical rulings. Now, under Judge John Adams, the federal court, the United States Superior Court, Washington, D.C., ruled that when one judge ordered Judge John Adams to take a psych evaluation, that is unconstitutional and violates his First Amendment rights. Yeah. Violated his First Amendment rights. No judge can force anyone to take a physical or a mental evaluation. No judges can. It's already ruled. Federal judge who was forced, and this judge is Judge Adams, Judge R. Adams, who was forced a psych evaluation over his conduct and behavior, saying other words like whatever he was saying in court or to friends is unconstitutional, violates his First Amendment rights. No ifs and no buts. Violates his rights. It's unconstitutional. The court ordered it was unconstitutional to make any person, judge or non-judge, to take a psych evaluation. Now, this is why this judge did this to me, because I said they racist motherfuckers. And they are racist. You got some racist motherfuckers in Minnesota. Now, these people were so hateful against me. The DA was so hateful against me. He knows the judge. He talks to the judge and everything. So I said, well, where's the affidavit? Who's the complainant? The state cannot be the complainant. Who did I threaten? I still didn't get the paperwork on who signed the affidavit of complaint against me. The prosecutor can't. That's in the Constitution. He knows the judges. I witnessed a guy joke and laugh with the judge during my divorce. That's not only a conflict of interest, but that's also retaliation. So I'm doing my motion to remove this judge. I'm doing my federal motion. I'm doing a motion to have my court case put in federal court. I got my witnesses to subpoena. I got all my videos that's going to be played in court and all of that stuff. It's going to be about a 30-day trial, not a 2-day trial like this punk-ass DA tried to do. No, because guess what? I got the right to put his ass on the witness stand, you see? Because he got some explanation to be doing on trial on record. I got that constitutional right to question the prosecutor, have that constitutional right to question the prosecutor and the judge. See, Was it probable cause? No, there wasn't a probable cause. There was no probable cause whatsoever to issue a warrant for my arrest. None whatsoever. No probable cause whatsoever. None. No probable cause whatsoever. Did they issue a summons? Let's talk to see what's going on, Mr. Melillo. Let's talk. What's going on, Mr. Melillo? We'll look into this, Mr. Melillo, because you said some things that is really has to be looking into. First of all, you said the judge allowed perjury in her court. Yes. Look it up on the record. Then she allowed the attorney commit perjury. Yes. See, all of that was supposed to have been investigated. They were supposed to call me and say, let's have an interview, Mr. Melillo, to discuss what you said and everything else, man. That's what they should have done if they ever wanted to do it the right way. But what they doing to me, cruel and unusual punishment, kidnap, attempted murder on my life, put me as America's most wanted. That's what they did to me. Defamation. I got the right now, because I'm filing my lawsuit against the DA, all of them, even the judge that ruled that there was probable cause. There was no probable cause. I had a federal judge that I know. She pulled the records. Dude, she couldn't even believe it. She said, wait a minute. First of all, they should have done one damn thing, and that was you up there saying the judge committed perjury, let perjury allowed in the court. They're supposed to investigate that no matter what. Because once I hear that a judge allowed perjury in court, we look into that. We call up the defendants, we call up the people, we call up the parties to find out what was said and was not said and what was done and was not done. So yes, did the judge violate ethnic rules and regulations? Yes. Did the judge violate the Constitution rights? Yes. Did the judge violate the laws? Yes. Because in perjury, it states there's a crime when you lie to the courts, when you submit perjury evidence to the courts. That's a crime. You cannot rule on a case if the parties are not in court. Your ruling is void. You denied this man court access, which you violated his constitutional rights. You denied him court access. She goes, so what they did was, damn, I'm gonna look up the laws out there in Minnesota because they got to go by administrative rules and regulations and ethic rules and regulations, you know. And I don't know why they did not even look at this, Mr. Melillo. I don't know why they didn't look into this. Because as I see, yes, the judge allowed perjury in her courtroom. She allowed false testimony. She allowed false evidence. You got the bank records to prove that these bills were never paid. You got not only that, but everybody in their right mind in the world, in the United States, know once a collection agency has sold your bill, it never goes away. So these people here did a tax write-off, so they got something from Uncle Sam, and then they sell the bill to this collection agency. And all judges know that's what goes on in life, in real life. And you prove that those bills was never paid, but yet she not once held her for attempted court. She not once held her for perjury or her attorney. Said, yep. Then they turned around and they filed a paper, which was blank, that's supposed to have the account number, but it's no account number on the paper. Didn't show no bank stubs that those bills was paid. Didn't show no evidence. All the judge did was took the false allegations, the false evidence, and let that be submitted in court. I had to show everything in court. In Minnesota, the women don't have to. The women don't have to show nothing. They don't have to show bank statements. They don't have to show none of that shit. The women in Minnesota, they could take the money out of the bank. The judge says that's okay. And they claim that it's a non-fault state. But that does not give them the right to give them 95% of our shit. That does not give them the right for that. You see? And this was a woman judge, which No woman judge should be hearing no fucking divorce case. That's my personal opinion. No woman judge should be hearing no fucking divorce cases. Freedom of speech, freedom of the press. I got that right in expression and my feelings. I got that right to say it. United States Superior Court already ruled that. They already ruled that. They already ruled that. So this judge turned around and threatened me to take a psych evaluation, which is against the law and unconstitutional. So I put that case in my motion to have this judge removed. There was no probable cause to issue no warrant for my arrest. The only reason why there was probable cause that they put in there, racially profiling and hate, retaliation, because I cursed out the judges on YouTube, which I got that constitutional right. Which YouTube and every other body said, you didn't violate the rules and regulations, you didn't violate this, you didn't violate our policy, you didn't violate nothing. You didn't violate nothing. That's what goes on in Minnesota. It's the corrupted, crooked system in the world. So now also, I'm putting in there about my debt bond. Where's the premium? Who's getting paid on that? Y'all owe me that. Since y'all put me on $10,000 each, which is $20,000, you making an interest off of my bond. I got the right to claim that bond. I have the constitutional right to claim that bond. That money is mine. That interest that is paid on that bond is mine, not the state. And the state cannot be a victim. The state cannot be a victim. Hold up, I got to get something. Oh, I got this right here though. But it says here, the Superior Court expresses the history of people that want to self-defend themselves, that got the right to self-represent. And the ruling that a court cannot deprive any defendant or to access a lawyer. He has a choice to either have a public defender, a court-appointed attorney, or to represent himself. California. Now this law came back up to the United States Superior Court in 2023. And this is what is so funny. They said that all defendants have a right to defend themselves in court. And they also ruled that no judge can order anyone that wants to represent themselves for a psych evaluation. Unconstitutional. Under Adams, R. versus Jar R. Adams. And he was a judge. And the committee of judges wanted him to take a psych evaluation because he spoke his mind. And the United States Superior Court ruled in his favor, said you can't order no one, no judge, no defendant. You can't order no one to take a psych evaluation. It's unconstitutional. You know? And the reason why this judge did this to me, and I'll say it again, is like, how you going to violate my constitutional right to freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and freedom of the press? You cannot do that. All over the courts already ruled that. They even ruled on hate speech is protected by the First Amendment. They ruled hate speech is protected by the First Amendment. The only thing you cannot say, that is not protected is a threat against the military or the President of the United States, which the United States is a corporation, which we have a right to sue a corporation. The United States Appeal Court already ruled that too. We got the right to sue a corporation. We got the right to sue judges. We got the right to sue prosecutors. We got the right to sue the police, all law enforcement, violation of your constitutional rights. They already ruled that. And they also ruled in California that that any officer that lies or cut off their body cam has committed a felony. A felony for tamper with evidence. They're about to remove all immunity from police in California, judges, and prosecutors. Because they don't need to. This one judge statement was this here. They don't need immunity. Because if that's the case, then every citizen of the United States should have the same right to immunity. To be granted immunity, you have to grant all, not just one. But why would you need immunity if your case was done legal? When you arrested the defendant and it was done legal. No arrest is legal. No warrant is legal whatsoever. No warrant is legal on the face value. No warrant is. This warrant was put out against me from hate, which is in my lawsuit against this DA and the judge that signed the warrant and the divorce judge and this other judge, because I never saw this other judge, so he couldn't even make a ruling on my case, okay? And the deputies, okay? First of all, there was never no investigation. Nobody's never talked to me. I called that person twice. Well, I left a message. The lady answered the phone. Well, let him know that I'm returning this call. He needs to call me back. We can set up a date, get my attorney, and we come down and talk. That was never done. I returned the call twice. Got the call in the recording. Got the call in my recording. Returned the call twice. Lady said, I gave him the message. I guess he don't want to talk to you, sir. Whatever. So did they investigate this? No. Every law enforcement lies. Every judge lies. Every law enforcement lies. Every judge lies. They lie on reports, even though the reports are not supposed to, by the Constitution, the reports are not supposed to carry no weight. Now, if this judge, this so-called judge, did watch the video, like he claimed that he was, he would have seen in the video and heard, I'm going to come after y'all what the law says and my constitutional right says that I got a right to do. That's what's in the video. So how is that a threat? There's no way on God's green earth that's a threat. Oh, I forgot, because they white racist motherfuckers. And I got the right to call a person a motherfucker. I got the right to call a person a racist bastard. I have that constitutional right. That's been ruled in so many fucking cases. Each day that I'm on bail costs every one of these son of bitches $120,000 a day. $250,000 for each day I was locked up. Each day I was locked up, $250,000. Each day I'm out on bail, $120,000. Then you go to bail hearing, bam. 30 days after that, you're supposed to go back in front of the courts. They're supposed to tell you about a speedy trial. None of that was done to me. 35 days. It's supposed to be 14 days, 35 days. They violated my constitutional right in there. Violated my constitutional right. No, the police officers, two different counties, dude. One county doesn't have jurisdiction in another county. I'm being transferred from two different fucking counties. One county does not have jurisdiction in another county. In the Constitution, it says it. You had all day to get me in front of a fucking magistrate. There's a magistrate that's open 24/7. You did not do that. You violated my constitutional rights. You violated the laws of Minnesota, and what the Superior Court of Minnesota stated was that the officer has to have the warrant in their possession and read you the warrant and the charges to make the arrest. That was never done to me. They violated every one of my constitutional rights. I'm not having it no fucking more with these racist motherfuckers, man. And like I'll say it again, there's some racist son of a bitches in the state of Minnesota. there are some racist motherfuckers. This prosecutor goes out to drink, knows the judge personally and everything else. He ain't even supposed to touch this. Racial profiling, hate, retaliation, discrimination, kidnap, attempted murder on my life. When you got these motherfucking deputies and pigs out here shooting anything that looks black or Mexican. It's funny. They had on the news. This guy said, I want that officer locked up. He on video. He on video. So these punk ass law enforcement now say they use the excuse that they're just trying to pull your string because you're being recorded and all of this stuff. No, we got the right. Every time you step your stupid ass out your house, you're being recorded. Every time you go into a department store, you're being recorded. Every time you take your kids to the stores, they're being recorded. How the hell you think they know how to snatch your kids? Because your own government is letting that happen. As soon as you step your stupid ass out their house, you're being recorded. So don't say you don't got a right to record me. Tell your government that. Tell your mayor that. Tell your governor that. To remove all of those fucking video cameras all over the states. You're going to tell these people because they're protecting their rights and other people's rights. But you that stupid and ignorant when as soon as you step your ass out your house, you're being recorded. So the cops go, well, you can't record the patrol cars. It's in public. Yes, you can. Well, I hear that you recording license plates numbers. You're doing the same fucking thing to us in your patrol car. You recording license plate numbers. People, use your fucking senses. Stop being so stupid. But I forgot, 95% of so-called American people are that stupid. They are really fucking stupid. 95% American people in the United States are stupid. Then you got the house niggas. Then you got the house nigga bitches. They think they're above the laws. But then, when the white people don't like your ass, you ready to sue them. But this man gets arrested. I get arrested. I get a hard time filing my lawsuit and all of this shit against us. False imprisonment, false kidnap, and attempted murder. Violating my constitutional rights. The system is so fucking corrupt, it's not even funny no more, man. It's not even funny. It's not even funny. This is my motion. I'm taking down Monday to remove this public defender. And I also put the case law in there. So no misunderstanding. I got the right to represent myself under my constitutional rights. I got the right to represent myself. You know, and there's no such thing now by the United States Superior Court's rulings of threats. You know, and for each day, and I'm counting the days and everything, how they violated my constitutional rights once I turned myself in and everything. And I shouldn't have had, there shouldn't have never been a warrant for my arrest. And this is what happened. I was going to Canada with my buddy. And his mom and dad lives in Canada, okay? And that's how I found out that I had a warrant. And let me explain something to you. When you go to the border, when you cross over to Canada and California or Mexico, their laws are totally different. Okay, totally fucking different. They don't give a fuck about the United States. I seen them lock up judges and cops because they had guns in their cars and they crossed over. Yeah, I saw them motherfuckers go to jail out there. They didn't give a fuck who you are, what you are. You could be a billionaire, you going to jail. All right? They don't give a fuck who you are, what you are. When they tell you don't bring no guns into their country, that's what the fuck they mean. Canada got that fucking right. Mexico got that fucking right. Okay? And believe it or not, the United States is all up with Mexico. Mexico's been further past what they say it is, if you look at your original map. So anyway, so you got to do this thing, you know, you got to do your passport and all of that, blase, blase, or just bring your ID, right? Driver's license and stuff. So then they tagged me. They say, Miss Malilla. I said, yes, sir. Could you come with me for a minute? I said, sure. So they took me in this room and they talked to me and stuff. And all of this shit is up there, man. All of this shit is up there. And I said, well, we can't let you in Canada for your fishing. I said, why, man? You know, so I called my buddy. I said, hey, Jake, come over here, man. Check this out, man. Can he come in? He said, you want him here? I said, yeah. Because we was going to see his mom and his dad, right? They live in Canada. His dad is a Mountie. Yeah, they call them Mounties. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but his dad is a Mountie in Canada. And they got this big-ass land, man. They go over there. And they got this huge place where they go fishing at and stuff, man, right? So anyway, guy comes back and says, well, you got a warrant out of a place called Minnesota. I'm like, what? Why would I have a warrant? I don't know nothing about it. You know, and I told the guy, I don't know nothing about it. So he looks it up and he couldn't print it out, right? And so they contacted the police in California at the border section. And they says, no, we're not going to, that warrant doesn't have no significance in the state of California, you know, point blank. We're not going to do nothing because that's out of another state. We have no jurisdiction in that state. So the guy goes, look, man, I'm going to give you this paper. You fill this out. You go take care of this warrant and you come back and you can go through Canada. And I told my buddy, I said, man, I'm sorry, man. He says, no, man, let me run you back. You know, I said, okay. You sure? Because we're supposed to meet your mom and dad is at the other end. I said, check this out. I'll take the car and you go ahead and get your mom and dad, you know? So that's what I did. And I'm like, well, what the fuck do I got a warrant out for? You know, none of this makes no fucking sense, man. You know, none of this makes no sense whatsoever. You know, none of it make no fucking sense, man. You know, I couldn't figure this shit out. I couldn't figure it out to save my life, man. I couldn't figure it out to save my life. You know, and so I turned myself in on 2/6. And all day, even past that time, to get me in front of a judge, but they didn't. And it says, you have to, once you are arrested, you have to be taken immediately, not 24 hours, not 72 hours, not the following day. You have to be taken immediately. Immediately means now, immediately in front of a magistrate. That's what it says. Not 24 hours, not 72 hours, not 10 hours later, not 15 hours later. It says in the Constitution immediately. Fuck what the state Constitution says. The federal Constitution overrides that. It says immediately. 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 There's no such thing when it comes to probable cause, because there wasn't no probable cause to issue a warrant for my arrest. So that's why I go after the judge that signed the warrant, because the judge that signed the warrant, the so-called warrant, is also in violation of my constitutional rights of freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and freedom of expression. I have that right to say what I want to say. I got the right to call you a motherfucker. I got the right to call you a racist bastard. I got the right to call you a cunt. I got the right to call you a bitch. I got the right to call you a punk. I got the right to call you a faggot. I got that constitutional right to say all of this. That's my given right. And I got more rights than that. You see? So don't come up to me with this bull, but now you just violated my constitutional rights and I got the right to sue you. I got the right to sue you for terrorism. I got the right to sue you for kidnap, false imprisonment, false charges, false allegations, and violation of my constitutional rights. The United States Superior Court already ruled that. On September 12th, they just made a hell of a ruling that we got the right to sue. we got the right to bring our case to court. We have that constitutional right. Well, hold on for a minute. I gotta get this. Where is it? Under common law, it states here that the questions each jurist must ask themselves is there any injured party? There is a common law principle which states that for there to be a crime, there must first be a victim. Corpus delicti. The state cannot be an injured party in any criminal complaint. Listen carefully. Common law and also in the constitutional rights, there is a common law principle which states that for there to be a crime, there must first be a victim. Corpus delicti. The state cannot be an injured party. The state cannot be an injured party. In the establishment of a victim, there cannot be no crime. This is what the grand juries must discover. Okay? For each felony of all crimes, by common law, there has to be a grand jury hearing for all felony cases. That's what it says. That's what it says. And this is the funny thing. In the common law, it is the duty of every sheriff and deputy to protect. It is the duty of every sheriff and deputy to protect the constitutional rights. It is the duty of every sheriff and deputy to protect the constitutional rights because they are the last of the defense to protect the United States. It is the duty to make sure that the constitutional rights is not being violated. They have to protect the constitutional rights, and each individual in the United States, each citizen of the United States, they have to protect the individual's constitutional rights in the Bill of Rights. The sheriffs are more powerful, supposed to be, because they're the main ones of defense line of the Constitution. That's why you got some deputies and some sheriffs. They're not violating the Constitution because they really mean they believe in the Constitution. Minnesota doesn't have sheriffs like that. Nah. Anytime a sheriff sees a deputy or a deputy sees another deputy or a sheriff violating the constitutional rights, he got to report that to the superiors. No ifs and no buts. It ain't about snitching. It's about you going against the constitutional right. Once anyone violates the constitutional rights, they have caused treason. They have caused treason against the Bill of Rights. They have caused conspiracy and treason against the Constitution. Oh, I'm hitting these motherfuckers hard, man. I'm hitting these motherfuckers with their own laws, man. With their own laws. I'm hitting them hard right now. I'm hitting them hard. You know, and I'm not playing no more with these fucking people, man. You see? Now, right here, I'm going to show y'all something. This happened in Minnesota. Okay? And that's what I'm filing my dismissal on. My dismissal is going to be granted. I'm not worried about that. These charges will be dismissed. You know? So I'm not worried about that. Because no crime was committed. No crime was committed. See, that's the funny thing. No crime was ever committed. Because I'm fighting for what I believe in. I'm fighting for my constitutional rights, and you're saying that I violated this and that. No, you know, I'm not having it no more, man. I'm not playing this game with you motherfuckers no more, man. It's not happening, man. It's not happening. It's not happening no more. I'm not taking this shit no more, man. See, I got the right to call you whatever the fuck I want to call you, man. Got the right to call you a punk, a bitch, whatever. Right here under this case here in Minnesota. Okay, Minnesota Superior Court ruled that for each arrest that is made under a warrant, the warrant has to be in the possession of the officer. Listen carefully. This is a ruling from Minnesota Superior Courts. The warrant has to be in the possession of the arresting officer. Okay? The warrant must be read to the defendant. 2, does the officer has the jurisdiction to make the arrest? 3, once the defendant is arrested, he has to be taken immediately in front of a magistrate. That's from Minnesota Superior Court ruling. Immediately in front of a magistrate. Not 24 hours, not 72 hours, not 10 hours, not 6 hours. Immediately. If not, 4 of those elements are not complied with, then it is a false imprisonment, and the arresting officer and the person that signed the warrant is liable for false arrest and false imprisonment. That's what Minnesota says. Kansas City. Ignorance of the law of any law enforcement is not an excuse. Ignorance of the law of anyone, any judge or prosecutor, to sign a warrant, no excuse for ignorance of the law. You are all guilty of false imprisonment, false allegations, and false arrest warrants. Kansas City. Circuit Court of Appeals have held that it is no difference that a person whether a judge, prosecutor, or attorney shows ignorance of the law. They are guilty. They are guilty. Once presented, an illegal arrest or imprisonment is ignored of the illegal of this act, knowingly in committing an arrest, which is illegal, have the remedy to file a lawsuit. And each person that false imprisonment and arrested the defendant is guilty of a crime. Kansas City, Appellate Court. Minnesota, Superior Court, upheld that each arrest for a warrant, the warrant has to be in the possession of the arresting officer. The warrant must be read to the defendant without delay. The defendant must be brought in front of a magistrate immediately. Immediately means now, not 24 hours, not 72 hours, not 13 hours, not the next day. Magistrates are open 24/7, 7 days a week. Magistrates are open. They can't run excuses no more with me. See, what made me look into the law was the divorce judge, and as I'm looking into the law, she violated every constitutional right of everything. Everything that there is under the laws, she violated. Now check this out. Anyone that signs, this is the funny thing. All warrants on face value is invalid. It's invalid. It's invalid. An unlawful arrest cannot be justified because the arresting party was actually guilty of the charge for which he was arrested. The person charged with an offense can only be deprived of his liberty and due process of laws and his constitutional safety grounds to appeal. Okay? The guilty as well as the innocent. The guilty party is the party that violates the constitutional rights of any defendant that knowingly arrange a false arrest warrant. They are guilty of false imprisonment, false arrest. Any officer, it is the duty of each law enforcement that has to have the warrant in their possession. They have to have the warrant in their possession to make an arrest. If they do not have the warrant in their possession, then the arrest is false imprisonment and unjustifiable. That comes from Kansas City, Appeals Court, also Minnesota, Superior Court. A warrant cannot be rubber stamped. The signature of the judge has to be on the warrant. A warrant cannot be rubber stamped. A signature of the judge has to be on the warrant. If not, if the signature of the judge is not on the warrant and it's rubber stamp, which means that it is unjustifiable and false imprisonment and falsifying a warrant for an arrest. That's what it says. That's what it says. That's what it says. False imprisonment case in New Jersey. A person was arrested with committing a crime. Okay? This comes out of New Jersey. The woman sued the parties for false imprisonment. They claimed that she shoplifted, okay? So she sued them for false imprisonment and was argued that the woman failed to place or prove that the items that she purchased, she had a receipt, all right? So the prosecutor led a warrant to her arrest and imprisoned her the appeals court of New Jersey attorney argued that, first of all, the department store is guilty for calling the police because the lady did pay for her items. It shows it on video. Okay. Second of all, the prosecutor is guilty of false imprisonment, false arrest of my client because she had the receipt and yet they still filed the charges. So in other words, the prosecutor filed false arrest, false warrant, and the judge's signature was not on the warrant. It was rubber stamped. Okay? The judge's signature wasn't on the warrant. It was rubber stamped. Right? Even the people that made that floor mat, it states in their bylaw, in their paperwork, that you cannot use this system for court procedures because it's not legal. You cannot use this system for court procedures, from family court, criminal court. You have to sign your name. You cannot use none of that. You cannot use this rubber stamp shit. It's in the appellate court. It's in the appeals court. They ruled on that. In every state, Minnesota, California, New York, New Jersey. So back to New Jersey. So then she had a right to sue. Okay? So the videotape was played in court, and the judge decided that this was a malicious prosecution, which would mean malicious prosecution. Okay? Malicious prosecution, which is a felony, which is a felony, and it falls under the protection of the federal courts. That's a federal law. Malicious prosecution, the RICO Act. That's what I'm getting them out too, with the RICO Act. Okay? It's malicious prosecution, and the court is held liable. From the court is held liable, whatever judge signed the warrant, the prosecutor is held liable, and the officers that made the arrest is held liable. 1, they did not read her rights. 2, they did not read her the arrest warrant. 3, they didn't have jurisdiction to lock her up. They was from one county to another county. It's just like me. I'm taking from one county to another county. Wait a minute, you have no jurisdiction over me. You have no jurisdiction over me. You have no legal jurisdiction to even hear this case. Now, that's what I told the judge. Show me you got jurisdiction. You know, I don't understand this. How are you going to charge me with a felony when no crime was committed? It says you cannot say a crime is committed if a crime was never committed. But this is retaliation and hate because of the fact that I cursed the judges out that allowed perjury in her courtroom, that allowed false evidence in her courtroom. And she knew, she willingly allowed perjury and false testimony in her courtroom. She knew about it. She knew, we found out that she had debt collections going after her ass. So she knows all about debt collectors. You know, so we're finding everything out about these judges, man. About how they drink, how much they drink, how they yell at their wives and their kids. We're finding all of this shit out. And all that's in my complaint. And all that's in my lawsuit. So how you going to try to come after me for some bullshit and you do worse shit than I do? I ain't got no kids. No. I never hit my wife. Never hit no woman in my life. No. But y'all get your asses whipped and everything else and threatened by your husbands and your wives. And you coming after me with some bullshit because of nationality and hate and retaliation because I filed a complaint. Then to top it all up, these fucking judges never knew about my goddamn thing because it's private. So how did you find out? And they're going to use this, what I'm saying, because they've been monitoring, you know, did you have a federal warrant, federal wiretap? No. We looking at that. We looked at that. So you can't come up with one later on. No, you can't come up with one later on. We got the statements right. Where's that statement at? Right here. It was never, no issue of a federal wiretap warrant against you, Mr. Melillo. Listen carefully. I'll say it again. You cannot change freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of the press into a criminal activity. It's against the law. Superior Court already ruled that. It's against the law. You are opening yourself up liable for lawsuits. That's where all the lawsuits are coming from. And states are getting hit hard, man. And the best thing about it is that on my lawsuits, I'm putting their occupation and their names, and they are liable. I'm not going after the state. They are liable. When I'm going after the state is I'm going after the prosecutor, then the state, the city, and the county, because they allowed this man, which he knows by law about constitutional rights. There's no ignorance no more of the law. No more ignorance of the law. You did this behind hate, retaliation, violation of my First Amendment rights, freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of expression. You violated that. You violated the Disability Act, the Veterans Act. You violated all of that. And a hate crime that you put on me, the crime that you put on me, you did out of hate. And that's a federal offense, not a state offense. A hate crime is a federal offense. That's why this is in federal court. And when you just violated my constitutional rights, the state doesn't have no say-so on this here, on this criminal case. This getting transferred to federal court. You have no jurisdiction now. You have no jurisdiction, none whatsoever. None whatsoever, because my appeal will be granted to have it transferred to federal court, because when you violate my freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of the press, you violated my constitutional rights. Federal constitutional rights. Fuck state constitution. Federal constitution overrides state constitution. And that I proved in my lawsuit. That will be proved in my lawsuit. So they will take my case in federal court, you know. And again, it says here, the question each jurist must ask themselves is that, is there injured party? The state, under common law principle, which states that there is no crime if there is no victim. Habeas corpus. Even in the laws, it says, even in the laws that I looked up, a lot of law cases all over the state, all over the United States, without a victim, there's no crime. First of all, my videos are private. What they should have done was this here. And she agreed with me. This judge I know agreed with me. She says, yeah, they jumped the gun so fast because of hate behind you and what you said about the judges, because they all know each other. And so we looked up this prosecutor and stuff. Says, yeah, you know, show pictures of them all together and shit, and happy party pictures and all of that shit, you know. And the prosecutor's not even supposed to be handling this case. That's the funny thing about it. The prosecutor cannot know or be friends with the state. Because they're not victims. Because you see, first of all, how did you become a victim? That's the $1 million question. How did you become a victim? That's the $1 million question. How did you become a victim? You know? Who told you about this? And see, this is why this is going to federal court, because you see, I want the judges on the witness stand, I want them to lie in federal court. Okay? Because the person that contacted each sheriff at each jurisdiction, her name is in the whole report, in all the reports. One deputy says, look, he didn't violate nothing. You know, he put his report and his badge number down. He's being subpoenaed. Each deputy that went and mixed everything around, their lawsuit and their badge number is already in the lawsuit. And I'm finishing up with that, and that'll be taken down to the state capitol to be logged in. And then it'll be notarized. Then I'll get that notarized. And then I'll be mailing out all of this shit by certified mail, because I got the constitutional right to do that. Okay? Fuck their rules and regulations. I even put in there that this will be filed with no problems. With no problems. And each defendant has been mailed out a copy of their lawsuit, letting them know that they are being sued. They have been mailed this out. You got to log this in and everything else. Then a copy goes to the state attorney general's office, and then a copy goes to the state of Minnesota, and the other copy goes to the county of Minnesota. You see, because I'm going after they talk. I'm putting a talk on a bond, man. $120,000 each day. You see, each day, you know, and I put on there individual. So I'm suing each and every one of them individual because they violated my constitutional rights. First of all, for you to even go through a crime, it has to be investigated. This was never investigated. Nobody never called me. Even the attorney, even the judge that I spoke with, she says, yeah, they never called you back. I said, nope. I did what you told me. I called them twice. The lady said, well, I gave him the message, sir, but he never called you back. Nope. On the second time I called, I said, well, all you got to do is give me a time and date. Me and my attorney be down there. Never called me back, not once. Never called me back, not once. Not once. So we already know that this is behind retaliation and hate. That's what this is about, retaliation and hate. Discrimination and violation of the ADA Act and Veterans Act. That's what this is a violation of, period. No ifs and no buts. No ifs and no buts, you know. And it states that all felonies, all felony crimes have to go in front of a grand jury. Even the federal judge that I talked to said that. So first of all, he didn't even take this in front of a grand jury, number one. Number two, why they did not send you, what confuses me is that you never got a summons of complaint. They're not. So he just immediately did the warrant. Says, yep. So now if this ex-judge sees that this was retaliation and hate, the jury members should see the same thing. If Terry Watkins sees that this is retaliation and hate, then the normal person should see the same thing. If that divorce judge attorney that I spoke with, she read this up, she looked it up, and she said, no, they hate you, man. This is retaliation because you took that about judge such and such. You didn't even go to your court hearing because they didn't have it because it's a snowstorm. And they can't do that. That's against all rules and court rules and regulations. They can't hear a motion without you being in court. And they grant the motion, which is against all court rules and regulations, without you even being in court. Says, yeah. The clerk called me and told me that he granted my ex's attorney's a motion. I didn't know. I didn't even get no paper. I'm still looking out for the paperwork. And then when it finally came, it came months later. That was the funny thing about it, you know? And I'm like, nah, I'm going to get him in federal court, man. Yeah, that's the route to go. That's the route to go. Because this is behind retaliation and hate and discrimination. That's what this is all about. Because they all know each other. And I told you before about that judge and that DA. Says, yeah, we found pictures. The investigator found pictures. One individual found pictures of the judge, the prosecutor doing a party in the courts and everything else, and birthday parties, other places, and they're all over Facebook and all of that shit. And I'm like, wait a minute, that's that fucking DA. Yeah, I knew him, motherfucker. Drink. Oh yeah, check this out. So I told the attorney, I said, damn, why that motherfucker just passed me? Isn't it against the law for a prosecutor or attorney to come to court drunk? Isn't that against the law? And he says, you're not supposed. Fuck that. Isn't it against the law for judges to come into the courthouses drunk? Is it against the law? I don't want to hear no shit about you're not supposed to. Is it against the law? They're supposed to be locked up as soon as they come to that courthouse drunk. They're supposed to be locked. I seen public defenders locked up for the same shit. In Minnesota, in California, in New York, in Texas. Going to court smelling like alcohol. So don't tell me that shit. I even smelled a guy. He had something on him that was sitting in the fucking thing. And then it came to me and I said, I know what that smell is, man. I know what that smell is. It's a drug that this guy is carrying around him, man. Some kind of drug. Because it made me sneeze. and I couldn't stop sneezing, you know. And then I tell him, said, that's why they don't want you in court, man, because you can smell all that shit. I said, yeah, I know, because they know I'll bust their ass, man. Yeah. So they can't tell me these motherfuckers don't drink and all of that shit, man. You know, they are the crookedest and racist motherfuckers. Minnesota got some racist motherfuckers. Some people are some nice people, man. Don't get me wrong. I know some white people, man, that are the nicest people I ever met. Like this one couple. His wife plants these vegetables and stuff, you know, like cucumbers and green peppers, and oh my gosh, she had this black pepper, dude. Woo! Boy, did that have me on the shit and burnt my butt, man. Oh Lord, did that burn me badly, man. So anyway, once in a while she gives me some pickles. She makes her own pickles and stuff like that, and her own sauce. But I can't deal with her sauce. Her sauce is the hottest I've ever had, man, and it really hurts me, man. It hurts my stomach and stuff, you know. And they're real nice. And then this other couple that talks to me, they're real nice, man. You know. And I know that this month is hard for me because I really don't do nothing on on the month of September. Lost family members and 9/11 and friends and stuff and everything, and it hurts. It hurts. It hurts. You know, I'm gonna tell y'all people, man. Y'all better understand something, man. Right now, y'all people that got mom and dads, you better turn around and thank them and tell them you love them. Cause y'all lucky, man. Y'all lucky. You know, y'all lucky. And this right here, what I'm about to say goes for both sexes, men and women. Stop hitting each other, man. Walk away. Walk away. If they cheat, leave it. She cheats, leave it. He cheats, leave it. Walk the fuck away, man. Walk away. Because you see, one thing about all women, and I noticed that in the state of Minnesota, one thing that you have against you, and I got this case in federal court, by the way. One thing that they got against you, all guys that women have against guys in Minnesota, is one word. One word that'll destroy your whole fucking life. Just one word. And that word that all women use in the state of Minnesota is, I've been abused. No evidence, no medical records, nothing whatsoever. Then all of a sudden you get a restraining order to get put out of your own house. Your life gets turned upside down. You are the criminal. Point. It is so hard to get that removed from the courts because the courts don't give a fuck. The courts love perjury. The state of Minnesota courts love perjury. The state of Minnesota courts love falsified evidence, love conspiracy, love hate, love planting evidence. They love all of that because their lives are boring. So they don't uphold the constitutional rights. No court in the state of Minnesota upheld the constitutional rights. That's why everything has to go to federal court. That's your biggest fight, and that's the fight you will always win in federal court. The courts in Minnesota loves when the women commits perjury, when the attorneys commits perjury, when they submit false evidence, false testimony. The superior courts in the state of Minnesota loves that. The courts in the state of Minnesota loves that. Loves that. So when you get this bullshit restraining order, the courts love that because that restraining order gives them money. That case gives them money every month because they sell that case. It's put in a trust fund in Texas. So that's how they get their money. You know, that's how they get their money. And that's the bottom line. That's how the state gets their money. Okay? The state loves perjury. Minnesota courts love perjury. The judges love perjury. The judges love all of that shit. Because the judges don't give a fuck. but the judges took the oath of office. That's how you sue them. That's how you sue them, by the oath of office. That's how you sue every cop, every law enforcement, every judge and prosecutor, because they took the oath of office. That's how you sue them. Because they lied. They broke their oath of office. And their oath of office is what holds the money. But now the United States Superior Court ruled that every day you out on a bogus bond, you have a right to sue them for $120,000. Every day you were locked up in jail on false charges, false arrests, $250,000 for every day. For every day. And no judge, no court can deny that. False or malicious prosecution. 807. Any court or prosecutor continues with a false or misrepresentation case against a defendant is guilty of false litigation. A false charge. No matter which way you put it. And let me see. Malicious prosecution. False and malicious prosecution. That is so beautiful, man. The United States is tied. The courts is tied, man. I guess a lot of their kids are getting locked up too now. And so they're getting really fucking fed up with this bullshit, what these judges are doing. All right, now I'm looking for this one to prove to you that.
Now, this is really the peak of your challenge.
Oh, it's coming up. I'm about to read something to y'all. Okay. And it has a rule on it. The court rule. See my 1983 under the color of law? No judge can ignore that. No judge can.
Singer versus Hamlin. The controlling rule is that absent a knowing and intelligent waiver, no person may be imprisoned for.
Oh, here it is, right here.
They won't allow it?
Okay.
Really?
Check this out.
Wow. You don't know how to protect your rights.
All right, this says right here, a person has a right to represent themselves. It says attorney and client, okay?
Court, do you? Why don't you go show the judge this?
Wait to move this head, this fucking
Corpus
guy
juris
down.
secundum.
Corpus juris secundum, chapter 7,
section 76.
Section
And
76.
have them explain to you why you should have an attorney
76.
when
it says here that chapter 76, aided in the administration of justice, okay, an attorney has his duty, aid, and in the administration of justice, and must show respect to the courts only, okay, and not to impair of the administration of justice. The attorney's duty is to the courts, not to his clients, okay? The duty of the attorney is to the courts, not to the clients. The legal procedures upholds the authority and duties of all attorneys. Their duties are to the courts, not to their clients. Yeah. 76, aid and administration of justice under attorney and clients. Okay, and it's 407 US 25. Wow. All public defenders, appointed attorneys' duty is to the court, not to their client. Listen carefully. Attorney and client. Section 7, 76, aid and administration of justice. All court-appointed attorneys and public defenders' duties are to the courts, not to their clients. 407, U.S. 25. That's what I got in this dismissal to remove this public defender. When I told the judge I'm going to represent myself, which I got a right to do by the Constitution, he fights me. So this is what he did. He turns around and says, you know what? I want to put which is very unusual, because the federal judge even said that I know. She goes, wait a minute. Don't that judge know that he just violated your constitutional rights by even requesting that? But that's very unusual for a judge, not the prosecutor, not the defendant's attorney, but a judge to order a mental evaluation. When right here with this judge, John A. Adams, the judges did the same thing to him, and they ruled that not only violated his constitutional rights, but it is unconstitutional. No judge is allowed to order a psych evaluation unless for 4 things. You fight in custody for a child. I don't have no kids. You drink and use drugs. I never drunk alcohol, never used drugs in my life. For murder, I don't have a murder case. And for suicide, I never committed suicide in my life. And I'm not going to do it now. So if they use the excuse, because under the ADA Act, which is the Disability Act and the Veterans Act, then that's straight discrimination. Because you ordered this because I'm disabled, so you violated my constitutional rights, which carries more time against a judge than anything in federal court. Because you just violated the ADA Act. So you had no legal probable cause whatsoever to order a psych evaluation on me. I never waived my rights for nothing. Never got a speedy trial, which violated that. Wow, y'all really fucked up, man. Y'all really screwed up, real big time, you know. So I'm gonna go through this psych evaluation to prove to the courts that this judge forced me to. So now, under this court ruling of the United States Federal Court ruling and Superior Court ruling under Judge John R. Adams, I got the right to be compensated for each day I had to wait to go for the psych evaluation. I got the right for him violating my constitutional rights, because this law, what he did, is against constitutional rights. So I got that right to do what I need to do in court against each and every individual. I got the right to fight in court. I got the right to freedom of speech, freedom of the press, freedom of expression. I have that right. You cannot make, and this is what Judge Clarence Thomas said in a ruling with this guy. He stated, and other judges did some stronger rulings. You cannot criminalize anyone for freedom of speech, freedom of the press, and freedom of expression, and make your own laws saying that it's a threat. The government has to prove a threat. In other words, is he capable of a threat? Where was his mind at? All of this shit is there. And they don't have this, you know, and that's the funny thing. But yet it shows, wait a minute, this guy is upset. Let's see what's going on. Let's look into this divorce records. Let's see what really happened, you know. Let's see if they did violate this man's rights and other Superior Court rulings where it states that I got a right to copies. I got a right to file my documents with no delays. Everything I had to file, the clerk tells me she had to call my ex's attorney to let them know I filed this, I filed that. When she had no more attorney on record. When the judge removed her attorney. When I filed my motion and my affidavit and my complaint against the judge, the clerk had no right to call up her attorney. The clerk had no right to call her up and say, well, hey, your husband filed a motion and an affidavit against you and your ex-attorney. Okay, well, send it to me and I'll give it to the attorney. And that's what was done. That's what was done. And so this other attorney that removed her first attorney because I'm going after him for perjury and testifying, which an attorney cannot testify. An attorney can't make no statements because it's hearsay. And the judge was not supposed to allow an attorney to testify, period. Okay? So when the clerk tells me that she was told by the judge to call up her ex-attorney, everything I file, that is not only just conspiracy, but she had no legal grounds. And I asked other attorneys, does this judge has a right to contact other parties that anything was filed? No, that's unethical, period. No judge has a right to tell the clerk every time you file something to notify the other party, even when they don't have an attorney no more. Even when they don't have an attorney no more. When the attorney was moved at the last hearing, when the attorney was removed at the last hearing, and then the court sent her out a copy of the affidavit and a copy of the motion that I filed. So this attorney says that she wasn't properly served. Whoa. She was properly served because she was mailed out everything by the courts. So now you're saying the courts did not properly serve her when she was mailed every document by the courts. So the attorney says she wasn't properly served. All right. And then when I finally get their response, these fuckers typed everything on both pages. Then one statement guy goes and says, well, there wasn't no snowstorm on January 3rd, 2020. I don't believe he got stuck in the snow. I don't give a fuck what you believe. I got stuck in the fucking snow. I don't need to fucking lie. So that's what I'm going after his fucking ass for, his comment. Defamation of character. I'm going straight after his motherfucking ass, that attorney's ass right then and there. Everything over here was closed down. Everything over here was closed down. They even got these arms where the weather is bad. Those were closed down. The snow was so bad, man. I got stuck down on Highway 19, man. It came up all the way up above the tires, dude. You didn't even see those big trucks out here it didn't slow down out here until January 5th. Because that's when the guy brought my car. The guy and his wife was real nice, man. They were helping out a lot of people, man. There were some beautiful people. They helped out a lot of people. And I didn't have the money. So he pops the trunk and the snow's all up under my car, man. My alternator, my starter, my battery. All the snow's under the damn car, man. Up on the engine and shit. And he helped me get the car started. He got me a battery. He got me an alternator. He got me a starter. That dude was beautiful, man. That dude was like an angel, man. He came down and helped everybody, man. And I gave him whatever I had left. I gave him that. And he said, no, you don't have to give me nothing, sir. My blessings is from God. That blew my mind. And he was white. His wife was white. And I told him, thank you very much. I really appreciate your help and what you did, but you still take this, man. You know, matter of fact, you thirsty? I got some water. I got some Coke. Well, I'll take a Coke. Okay, I gave him 2 bottles of Coke, you know. And she had the apple juice. I gave her my apple juice stuff, you know. I gave her whatever I had, you know. That guy got me a battery, alternator, and a starter, and helped me get all the snow from under the damn car, from inside the engine and shit. Popped the hood and snow all over everywhere, man. That's how I got stuck. I went driving and I couldn't do the wheel, man. I couldn't handle it. I went driving down. It was so slippery and everything else and stuck. And I just went like that, man. I slid on the side, you know. The courts called me. I'm stuck in snow, you know. I got their recordings. And they called my phone, going straight to voicemail. And they're trying to like speak before you can hear the beep, you know, leave a message and stuff. And you can hear the beep as they talking over the beep. Pick up the phone, Mr. Malillo, press this. Each time they call and they talking over the beep. You can hear the beep. If you put the sound up real loud, you can hear the beep. They talking the recording like I picked up the phone. My phone was dead. I didn't even have a charger in the car. Didn't have a charger in the car. My phone was beeping the next day on the 5th. That's how I found out that my phone had messages. I went to my neighbor. I said, man, you know how to get my messages keep beeping? He showed me how to answer the messages. I said, wait a minute. He even heard it. He said, turn it up some. This is loud. I can get it, man. So he showed me how to turn the volume way up, right? He said, now these motherfuckers playing games. This court people need to be fired, man. Yeah, they need to be fired. She's talking. You can hear the beep, and she's talking in the recording like you already picked up the phone. And it says, please leave your name and number. You reach 310-927-8817. Please leave your name and number. You hear the beep, and she's talking to the recording. Pick up the phone, Miss Malillo. Pick up the phone. That's how dirty them racist motherfuckers are at their courthouse. That's how dirty they are. Case out in New Jersey. Superior Court rule. You got the right to curse. You got the right to call whatever you want to call, whatever you want to do. That's your constitutional right. Freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of the press. You got that constitutional right. You can curse them out. You call them pigs, dogs, motherfuckers, anything you want. Anything you want. You just cannot threaten the president of the United States. And you cannot threaten the military. Only 2 things that you cannot do. And don't ever threaten the military, because then I'm after your ass, because, Army's number 1. Army will always be number 1. Army's number 1. Army's number 1. You know, but no, you can't do those 2 things only. Those 2 things, you know, and you cannot make a law to violate the constitutional rights. That's already established. That's already ground-laying rules, ground-laying laws, you know. You cannot violate someone's right for freedom of speech, freedom to record, videotape, or anything else. If that's the case, you got to go to every state, take every recording down. You got to remove body cameras from officers too down. And they don't want that. That's not going to happen. So you got to stop leaving people. You got to start leaving people alone, because now each individual is open for a lawsuit by what the United States Superior Court ruled. Each false arrest, violating the constitutional rights, is open liable for a lawsuit. Everyone, from judges, prosecutors, attorneys, everyone, there's no more such thing as hiding behind immunity. Nobody got immunity anymore. No one. No one, no one, no one. When you file your lawsuit and you put on there individual, that's what you do. You file your lawsuit against that deputy, against the DA, against whatever. This is what they violated. 1983. 1983 is the hardest case to get dismissed. 1983, deprived of my rights. Hate. Violation of ADA Act. Retaliation. That case is going to trial. No ifs and no buts. That case is going to trial. No ifs and no buts. But because I said, which I got a right to say, federal judge already told me, you got a right. And if they don't give you those copies and everything from the prosecutor, does not give you a copy of the affidavit and who signed the complaint, you could bring charges up to the DA now. The United States Superior Court already ruled that. You could bring charges up against the DA now for hiding evidence. He can be prosecuted. I said, yep. And sued. Yep. Yep. Sure enough can. Peace out, people. I got to take my medicine. My heart is acting up, man. Been having a lot of pain in my chest lately. For some reason, it's spraying something. It's hard to breathe outside. Oh, I've been sick, man, ever since I turned myself in. I can't get rid of this, man. There was something in that fucking jail cell, man, that was making me sick. And I couldn't breathe in there and stuff, you know, and I've been sick ever since. Been worse, man, ever since. Peace out, man.